If you're up for a good laugh, be sure to check out my comics on Instagram at JMan's Comic Book Adventures.
Alright lads, London Lad Lost in Asia, and today I'm going to be talking about how it's important to get into a flow state every single day and how I encourage you to do this because it helps your life to be more happy and it helps you to be more fulfilled. And this is based on a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. This is a fantastic book that I believe that every artist should read because I think it will help you to produce much better work, and not only better work, you'll produce work in a more efficient manner. So in this book, Cal Newport outlines the differences between deep work in which you're doing a task that is cognitively demanding and you're doing this task with no distractions, versus shallow work. Shallow work is work which you do, which is not demanding and sort of low value. It doesn't really push the needle forward. For example, for me with my artwork, deep work is when I'm making a comic and producing a comic. Deep work is also when I'm doing my art studying. Shallow work would be me posting to Instagram, the actual post, like the actual posting to Instagram, which is very important. But if my deep work wasn't very good, it doesn't matter how much shallow work I'm doing. Like, let's say my deep work was literally just a square, me drawing a square, and then every time I made sure I had so many great tags on my Instagram posts, and I posted them in such an immaculate way, but it's just a little drawing of a square. It's not really gonna have much of effect. It's the good artwork that's gonna really help push the needle forward, and good storytelling. And then the shallow work is necessary to do, but it's not the thing that really pushes it forward. Or spending loads of time commenting or networking with people. Yes, networking is important, but what's really going to get those contacts to want to connect to you is the quality of your artwork and the quality of the things you produce. Now, in this book, he talks about how it's important to do that for your professional work or the work your craft or what you're trying to get better at. But he also says that there are other domains where we can practice and flex our brain muscles so that we can do even better with our craft. For example, he uses like the example of Jewish people. They have this sort of thing where they study like an ancient text, and it's so really hard to decipher, so they have to really concentrate hard to translate it. And there's this guy that does this every single morning, and he was able to do really well in business and graduate with really high grades because he was doing that every single year, because it's such a cognitive demanding thing. And he also talks about how memorizing a pack of cards, like if someone gave you a pack of cards, you can memorize the order of this. He says that if you're able to do this is going to really help you with cognitively demanding tasks, because it's a hard thing to do that requires your attention. Now, for me, my example of deep work is obviously my comics, obviously art study, but outside of those things, that my artwork, it's learning Chinese. Learning Chinese is very cognitively demanding. And I feel as though I'm recording this video because I just came off of an hour-long Chinese session that was really intense, and I could really feel my brain being stretched. And I really quite enjoyed it. There's a point where I'm like 35 minutes in to 40 minutes in where I'm just really feeling stretched and I'm in a flow state. And it feels really good because after the session, I feel like I've achieved something, I've learned something, I've expanded my mind. And that's really what's going to help you with your artwork, is if you like concentrate and focus. Now, what this means is like, for example, when I'm making my comics, during the scripting phase, the thumbnail phase, the initial drawing phase, and most of the inking phase, I don't listen to any podcasts, I don't watch any videos, I don't like it when anyone talks to me, even my girlfriend, I tell her to shut up sometimes, because I don't want any distractions during this phase. Later on, sometimes it depends on how I feel in the day, how strict I am on myself. When it comes later on into the inking phase, when I've done most of the inks and colors, then I'll allow myself to listen to music or listen to a podcast because most of the work is done. If I was really trying to improve my inking and my coloring, I would just do it completely. And there have been times where I've done a comic completely, when it's a shorter comic especially, I've done it in complete deep work mode. But you know, for me with color at the moment, I just want to color a lot of my comics because I feel I was scared of color. So I made a contract with myself that I'm gonna color the majority of my comics or most of them, unless the story doesn't like need it. I'm gonna color them, and I can do this with music or podcasts as a reward, right? That was the sort of habit bundling that I learned from reading Atomic Habits. I bundled something I'm not so confident with, that I can't be bothered to do sometimes, with something I like, which is listening to audiobooks, podcasts, and stuff like that. But the reason why you don't do these things when you're trying to concentrate is because your brain will have a split focus. You're not going to be putting 100% attention and effort into the thing that you're doing, and therefore your results won't be as good. So I would advise, if you are doing a project that's similar to mine, to where you're uploading to social media like an illustration every day or comic every day, or if you're working on a really big important piece, try and have, if you're going to have music, have classical music or music from, there's this website called Brain FM, which is pretty good. If you're gonna have music, have stuff like that, preferably not things with lyrics, or just be in complete silence and focus. Some people, their preference might be to have songs on, but according to what like Carl Newport says and a lot of other people, like just being able to get into that zone and just really focusing, which again, we're all different. Some people might be able to get into deep work mode with that, but I think personally, if I'm listening to a podcast, especially a podcast, my mind is partly on that podcast and it's not focusing on really pushing myself to improve and pushing myself to really go fast with my art, because I know it, like when I'm really in deep work mode, I'm really focusing with every stroke and I'm doing it in such a quick and fluid and rapid way. It feels very different to where I'm drawing with a podcast on, which my random sketches that I've done in my channel, a lot of those have been with podcasts, but a lot of my comics, especially the ones I really like Nigerian Parents 1 and 2 and The Shiny Bold Joke, those ones I did in deep work mode, and I really like the way those compositions came out. So it's really a thing of just deciding to discipline yourself so you can do your work in an efficient way. Because as I said, with deep work, when I do it, I'm able to get out my results quicker. Therefore, I can spend time doing other things, you know? A lot of the times on my comics, because I started with my comics on the weekend, my sort of habit to do comics every day started with on Saturday, right? And then it expanded to Sunday, and now Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now, every single day, right? What I'll do is I'll go through my routine of meditating, writing out my day, journaling, reading a book, studying Chinese, studying art, and then I'll do my comic for 2 to 4 hours, sometimes more. But on a good day, I like to do sort of 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, right? And because I wake up at 6, that sort of means I end about between 1 to 3, and the rest of the day I just do whatever I want. If I want to lay in bed and do nothing and just stare at the wall like this, or if I want to go out bowling, I can do whatever I want. I can do other things that fulfill my life. Whereas I found sometimes that when I'm not this conscious about my time and I just listen to a podcast and sit down and draw and enjoy it, which I've done with certain comics before. I remember there was one comic when I didn't do deep work at all. I just sat with podcasts. I was literally sat at this table all day until the night, because I wasn't really conscious of my time and I wasn't really trying to make sure I push myself to because the time thing is very significant, because it pushes you to find ways to make your work better and to make your process efficient. When I wasn't conscious of that time, I just spent all day doing it and I was and I got it done by the end of the day, but it wasn't the most efficient way of doing it. So deep work really helps you to have a more efficient and fulfilling life, and it helps you to schedule things to where you can work on multiple things. Right now, I am working on my comic. I'm working on improving my art skills. I'm working at the moment with Brad Colebro's animation course, which is what I'm doing at the moment. It's a really short one. I'm working on my Chinese. I'm journaling and I'm meditating. I'm doing multiple things with my self-improvement, plus gym, because some of these days when I'm doing my comic on a weekend, I go to the gym. I'm balancing all of these different parts of my self-improvement and artistic journey. And I feel like it's so much better when I schedule things in, and deep work helps you to do that because you're really honing in on what's important and you're really like doing it in a very efficient way. You're channeling your inner Teddy Roosevelt, because he has a beautiful part of this book where he talks about the one of the ex-presidents, Teddy Roosevelt, and he talks about how he was able to have so many hobbies and interests because he scheduled his time and he focused intensely. Like when he was reading, he was able to read at a faster rate than a lot of other people because he had such great focus and intensity. So this is a book I really can't recommend enough. It's a fantastic book, guys. Go read it, go check it out. If you're doing your art, do deep work. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something from it. So this has been London Lad Lost in Asia, and I really don't know how to end this video.